Hello and welcome to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Millie and today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different and I'm going to be doing kind of like a chatty get ready with me. I'm going to be reflecting on my 4 years on YouTube so far as a beauty creator. I'm going to be answering a couple of questions. I'm going to be putting on some makeup, some new, some that I've already had and tried. So grab a snack and a drink because it is going to be a longer video and let's get into it. So I already primed my skin with the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Dewdrops. I did recently purchases during the Sephora sale. Everyone's been raving about it, so I wanted to try it out. And I also already did my brows, so I've been using the ABH Brow Freeze, and I just brush up my brow hairs, and then I usually fill them in with the Benefit Brow Microfilling Pen. Sometimes I use the Urban Decay Brow Blade, but for like quickness, I really like using this one. It's not like the most precise, but that's fine. But anyways, that's not why we're here. So next I'm going to apply the M Cosmetics Daydream Cushion SPF Cushion Tint. It's just a lot of cushions. So I guess I don't know how I'm going to start out. I'm just going to use a sponge for now and see how it applies the foundation. Maybe I'll switch. But I guess the way I'm going to start out this conversation is I started my channel on November 17th, 2017. And I pretty much just really loved tutorials. Back then, tutorials were definitely much more in still. I think they were kind of on the way out, but they were still pretty popular. And I just really loved watching tutorials and I loved putting on my eyeshadow, and I just was like, why don't I film it and put it up? Because I really didn't want to talk to the screen. So I was like, I'm absolutely not talking. My channel is just going to be eye looks. And I was like, you know, Picturesque, aka Regina, she was doing that. She wasn't ever talking in her videos. And I was like, see, people can do it. And I kind of wanted to be a little bit more of an artistic style. But kind of just beginning out, obviously, like as easy as it could get. So it was pretty much just one eye tutorials. It was really quick videos, probably like 5 minutes long, some of them maybe shorter. So essentially I started out my channel kind of for fun. I knew I wasn't going to become like a famous creator or anything. I kind of was like, you know, it's too late for that, but I still thought it would be fun to kind of share my love for applying eyeshadow. It was very therapeutic. It still is, though now it's a little bit more stressful with all these multiple looks one palette videos, but you know, I'm doing that to myself. This is not working for that. So I'm going to dip in with my brush for my nose, but this looks pretty nice. It has decent coverage, but like not a lot. I definitely need to spot conceal, so I'm just gonna go around my brows the best I can. And so the reason I'm really saying that is because it really depends on what your intentions are of starting a channel. If you're planning on, if you just want to do it for fun, you just want to, you know, have a creative outlet, or you want to just be able to have people to talk to about makeup, or just have like that kind of social aspect of social media, you know, then that's one thing. But if you're potentially approaching this from I want to make money off of this, I want this to be my full-time job, then I think that's gonna make it a bit more harder, especially now in 2021. I'm sure you've heard this before, but the beauty sphere is extremely oversaturated. I think a lot of different niches are already oversaturated on YouTube because YouTube has been around for quite some time, obviously. This is the same Cover Perfection Tip Concealer. I'm going to list it in the description box. I bought this a long time ago, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I love this for spot concealing. Like, just nothing beats it, honestly. I think I would have to buy another one. Hopefully they still make it. I haven't like checked. I feel like it's looking a little cakey in my smile lines, the foundation. I'm not like loving it really. So I think everything is pretty much oversaturated, whether it's gaming, you know, photography. There's a lot of really successful channels out there that talk about new tech, trying out new tech recommendations, and they've been really successful. But one of the biggest things on YouTube is if you want this to be your job, you have to be very, very strategic. And I mean that strategic in the content you post, the thumbnails you make, the names you give, the kind of content you are going to be putting out. You need to basically find a niche within a niche within a niche, but also like not too niche specific. And you also need to just do your preliminary research on you know, that specific niche that you might want to get into. Because sometimes if it's too small, then you might not really get many views from that. But I think for the most part, and even just like on Instagram and TikTok, it's really about what can you bring to the table that is different from other people. So for me personally, it's multi-chrome content, multi-chrome eyeshadows, showing application of multi-chromes on Instagram as well as TikTok is where I niche down to. I forgot to mention, I went in with the So Soft contour stick from M Cosmetics in Terra. I really like it, but I have to go in with a very, very light hand. I feel like this is not really fully covered. So I think you need to realize that if you want this to be, you want to make money off of this, which I know in the beauty community, like a lot of people look down upon that, which I'm just like, it's fine. Like everyone does this. Like just because it's beauty doesn't mean you can't want to be a creator for the beauty community as a job. However, I think it's going to be very, very hard. You might not want to hear this. I think especially on YouTube, yes, you can go viral and like gain just like a ton of subscribers. I think it's going to really very much depend on just a lot of different things. So it's not really guaranteed, and that's the other thing of social media is nothing is guaranteed. And nothing is guaranteed. Your growth is not guaranteed. It could be slow, it could be fast, it could fluctuate. You're not guaranteed to make a certain amount of money off of YouTube a month. It just really depends. And I think it varies so much from person to person. And something else I wanted to really talk about was having a channel while you're working full-time. So I have a full-time job, so I work 40 hours a week. Currently, I'm only commuting into the city on Thursdays, which kills about 3 hours that day, which really sucks, which used to be, you know, 5 days a week. I used to commute 5 days a week, and there was just no way I could get as much content up as I can right now. And it just really depends on how you prioritize things. You have to obviously have the drive, and you have to make yourself do the content, because there's no timesheet to submit at the end of the week. There's no clocking in the morning and then clocking out in the evening. It's very much just all about you and how motivated you are. I'm going to be using the new Blend Money Cosmetics brushes that I received in PR. I'm so excited about these. I'm not going to be using them the way that they're intended, the way that they're the handles are color coded right now, but I'm just want to start using them. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to be doing a dedicated video on them anyway. So that's like really the biggest and I would say the hardest part. So for the mattes, I'm going to go into the Stone Cold Fox palette from Colourpop, because I'm going to be using this beautiful Luna Cosmic Pearl Dewy eyeshadow. I know it's why it's dewy. It's not really dewy, I guess because it's shiny, but it's really taupey, so I'm going to be using these mattes in here. I'm just going to go into the crease. So that's really the biggest thing, is like, can you stay motivated? Can you keep putting out YouTube videos? But you also don't want to overdo it, especially if you're full-time. So obviously if you put out 5 videos a week, you're gonna gain more traction than if you put out 1 video a week. And that's just like purely because there's more chances of people finding you, seeing your content, and potentially subscribing. So really finding the time, I think, is a very hard part of it, as well as just knowing like what you're gonna be creating, what is going to be your contribution. And that's obviously speaking depending on what your goal is with the channel, because if your goal is to just have fun, then none of this matters. So I'm going to be talking about if you want to gain subscribers or get monetized. That just takes time. I don't know about like everyone who has a channel and how fast they grew, but it's dependent on so many different things that it's just like, again, not guaranteed that you're gonna, gain this amount of subscribers in a certain time. So I'm going to start answering some questions I got on Instagram, because I did ask if anyone had any questions. And one of the questions is, what is the hardest start about starting? And I think that is getting comfortable on the camera. I still struggle. Like, I've come to terms that I am not one of those people that it comes really, really easy. Maybe in another 5 years, who knows? But you're going to trip over words. You're going to forget words. You're going to say, you know, things out of order. Like, it's just going to happen. In general, I personally have just like, since school, like, I just freeze when it comes to like being put on the spot. And I think that also has to do with being an introvert. So I think if you're an extrovert, it's going to be much, much easier to talk on camera and look like you're comfortable on camera. And I do really envy everyone that's an extrovert and that just really looks like they're just so comfortable. But just something about talking to the camera, I just freeze. And I have better days and worse days. Some days, you know, I feel like I can get through things a little bit faster. And some days where I'm just like stumbling over words and there's really no way to control it. I just kind of take the days as they go and try to make the best of it. If I really, 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 really don't feel like filming, which is usually not too often, then I won't do it. Like, I kind of have it set. But, you know, sometimes you just feel like once that moment comes, you don't feel like actually doing it. But I think that's one of the hardest parts, as well as the other thing that's going to be hard is time management. If you have a full-time job, that's going to make things much harder than if this was the only thing you were spending time on. So next question is, what is the one thing you wish you knew when you first started? And, oh, there's so many. I think not one of the biggest things is thumbnails. Like, I just wish I knew better. I'm going in with the shade Luna from M Cosmetics on my lid. I just really wish I knew better and like be more strategic with my thumbnails. And one of the main things is to not repeat whatever your title is, like the text title, to not repeat that on your actual thumbnail. Thumbnails do matter a lot, and there's actually like a way you can see potentially clickable it is per video, so you can kind of see, you can kind of gauge, you know, which is more clickable, but it also has to do with like the type of video it is. So it's not really just like a one-all be-all solution, but that would be the number one thing, is like having like what it actually is in the title on YouTube, and then in the thumbnail something else that's a little bit more fun, a play on words, something interesting, not necessarily clickbaity, even though that is just, you know, what gets clicks, obviously, but like not clickbaity, but just like interesting, engaging. You need to put yourself in the viewer's shoes, which for some reason it's really hard for me to put myself into my viewer's shoes versus like other people's viewers. But just putting something on the thumbnail that will really be like, oh, like I feel like I know what they're going to talk about, and I'm really interested to hear their thoughts on this particular thing that is in the text on the thumbnail. The other thing is to not use a cursive font on the thumbnail. That's really hard to read, because especially when you're like scrolling in a way on your phone where it's like all the thumbnails are this way and the text is this way, it's going to be pretty much impossible. So you want big, short text, just to the point, but engaging, interesting for the viewer to want to click on the video. And again, this is extremely specific to what your aim is for if you're creating a channel or if you already have a channel. So the next question is, how has your perspective of makeup changed from a consumer to a reviewer? I mean, I'm still both. I'm still buying and reviewing. It's just I'm reviewing for, like, not for people, but in front of people. My taste as well as my buying habits have changed since having a channel. The thing is, the unfortunate truth, and I know there's so many people always commenting about, well, I don't want to see new things. I want to see older palettes. I want to see this. I want to see that. No, like not always new makeup. And the thing is, there's, you know, a lot of people like that, but the majority of people on YouTube in general are curious about new things. So I think if you were a channel and you were, for example, only doing Shop My Stashes, I think it would be very hard if you wanted to make this your job to gain subscribers and to get monetized and all that jazz. Like it's going to be very hard, because that is a very, very small niche within the makeup niche. So I think that'll be really hard. Not saying you can't do it. Obviously, do whatever you want to do. And if you just want to do that for fun, then do that for fun. Because I'm sure there's so many people who will very much appreciate that. I was just using a mascara samples. Usually when I'm doing eye looks, I just use random mascara samples that I don't like because I don't need my curl to stay. So I don't really care if my curl stays or not. And then for my lower lashes, I'm going to go with the Marc Jacobs sample. I don't know, it looks like this. It doesn't really matter. Like I said, I don't like it. I just use it. Just to use it and to not waste my waterproof mascara, because waterproof is a bigger pain to wash off. I don't know how to do mascara like on video. Like that takes some serious skill. Next one, what is the happiest or most rewarding moment since being on YouTube? I think the most rewarding, and I know everybody says this, but it's definitely just talking to people who are as passionate about makeup as you are, and that really just genuinely want to listen to you talk about makeup. Like, that just blows my mind. There's people that like want to hear what I have to say about multi-chromes and whatnot. And when I first initially found out about multi-chromes, which I believe was 2017, because one of my first videos is actually with the Dawn Eyes multi-chrome pigments, and I'm using the Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Wear All Over Concealer. I've been really loving this one. And I kind of let it set a little bit because it can kind of thin out. And sometimes I even add another layer. But I'm just going to wait for that. I like to use a dampened sponge as of late, pretty much all the time. So what was I talking about? I don't remember what I was talking about now. And so I just really love being able to talk to other people who are just as much obsessed with multi-chromes as I am. Because it's definitely like a niche, because it has not been as common with mainstream brands as it is more so the last 2 years, especially 2021. I mean, there's so many multi-chromes now everywhere, it seems like, even mainstream brands, which is kind of amazing. Another question is, how did you manage to afford all the makeup you made content before you started receiving PR? Well, I don't still receive like much PR, and not like I don't receive enough PR to just like not buy makeup. I buy the makeup because I'm interested in it, and I don't buy as much makeup as like just other people. And I don't want to like compare myself, and I'm not meaning that as like I'm better than anyone, but I'm just like, I don't buy the usual, like I don't buy all the e.l.f. releases, all the Fenty releases, like all these other brands. Like, I just pretty much buy what I want to. That being said, I was definitely a little taken back by that question, because personally I don't think it's appropriate to ever ask a question like that anyone. I have a full-time job and everyone's financial situation is different, and like I said, I don't buy everything. There's so many things I could be buying. I could be easily spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on new stuff, but I try to be as picky as possible. And also sometimes it fluctuates some months. So for example, during the summer of 2021, I just felt like there wasn't anything really interesting coming out, so I didn't really buy anything. And now it's fall and I feel like there's so many like fun things coming out, so I'm buying more than in the summer, and it's just going to fluctuate, and I'm okay with that. Also, whatever money I get from my affiliate links, affiliate codes, etc., as well as YouTube AdSense, which by the way, all of those things, you get that money, but that doesn't include taxes, so you have to have enough to pay for taxes at the end of the year, which is going to all vary depending on the state, country, whatever you're in. So it's not just like free money. I feel like a lot of people forget that it's not free money. Like, you have to pay taxes on this. It's not just like, oh my god, I'm being able to buy all this makeup basically for free. Like, it's not exactly that simple. So I think that's as good as that answer to that question is going to get. The blush I have from M Cosmetics is Passion, and it's orange, and it just like will not go with this look, so I'm actually not going to use it. It's extremely pigmented, like extremely pigmented. I think that thing will last me forever, so I'm gonna just go in with a highlighter. This is their Cushion Moonbeam Aura highlighter, and I've used this a bunch of times and I really like it, like a lot. I like to use my finger though. So while I put that on, let's answer another question. Is the current state of your channel what you envisioned it to be? And that's a really great question. And when I saw that, I was like, this is an amazing question. I don't know if I really had a vision for my channel. Like I said, I just kind of eventually was just like, well, let me just put out a little bit more content and see. Again, like I'm not trying to make YouTube my job. I have a full-time job, so whatever I do is just kind of like content that I enjoy making and I enjoy interacting over, and whatever money comes from that, because I do put a lot of time into it. It's not just like 2 hours a week to do like 4 videos, you know, it's a lot. Like I treat it as like a basically part-time job. So if I were to estimate how much time I spend on YouTube creating content, I think it would vary from week to week and what kind of videos they are. But I would say for the most part, it's on top of my 40 hours a week of my full-time job. I spend between 15, 20, maybe 25 hours a week on YouTube, as well as Instagram. I think might roll into that. So that would probably make it more like 25 hours, and sometimes TikTok. So that's why I didn't really have a vision. But I really like where it's gone. I love my multi-chrome Mondays. I just get so excited to post a video because it's just like there's like a adrenaline rush. It's like a high, especially when you post like multiple days worth of content in a row. Like there's just something about like I just get so excited to see all the comments come in. I don't always respond right away because I do just, you know, have a lot of other things that I'm doing, but I try to kind of do it in waves. I just love seeing the same people commenting on every video. I love when people go back and watch some of my older videos and comment. Like, I just really appreciate people taking the time to watch and to comment and like to be actually engaged. And I think that just is like one of the big, I know everyone says this, every creator says this, but it's just so true. There's just something about having that connection, even though it's a parasocial connection, but it's still really fun. And sometimes it's also just really not relaxing, but it's just nice to have that outlet of just being able to talk about makeup. That is just like an escape from your day-to-day. So I'm gonna go into my community tab now and see what are some questions. Maggie's Makeup Medley, please go follow her. Oh my goodness, she does some amazing content. She's so relaxing to watch. I just watched her video on some Black Friday indie makeup sale recommendations, and I'm just like, oh, she's such an amazing creator. So please go follow her. I will link her in the description box. Future Editing Millie, remember this. And she asked, what does your filming schedule look like as someone who has a full-time job? So I pretty much film Saturdays. So I try to film 2 videos on Saturday. Those take, you know, different times depending on what kind of video it is. If it's a 2 looks, 4 looks, 3 looks, I already know about how long that's gonna take, and I already know about like how long it's gonna take me to edit, which was the other thing I want to talk about. Is editing has gotten so much faster for me. I used to absolutely hate it. I was originally editing in Adobe After Effects because I was used to it, because I had to use the program in college and I had to learn how to use it, so I was comfortable in that. So that's where I first started editing videos. But it's like the worst thing to edit in because it's really meant for animating things. It's not really meant for like just YouTube videos. So then I use Premiere Pro, and that one is very similar to Adobe After Effects, since they're both by Adobe, so they're very like similar, so that's why it was an easy transition. But I really did not like working in Premiere Pro, and I finally decided to buy Final Cut Pro, and honestly, it's just so much more intuitive. It's so easy to work on. And also the other thing I wanted to say is it's really not about doing fancy editing things. Like, yes, some people will appreciate it, but I think for the most part, it's not a necessity. And I don't really see like people who put a lot of time in editing versus people who don't. Like, also, like, if you're just doing a review or you're just like, yeah, take nice close-up shots of the swatches, etc. But otherwise, like, you don't really need to do anything fancy, especially because it's like a longer video. So people are there to watch for a little bit longer. It's not like it's like a Instagram where you're trying to like capture someone's attention really quickly. So like some fancy editing might be good for that. So that's the other thing I wanted to say, is to really not focus on that. Like, don't worry about editing and doing really fancy things. Like, most of the time people don't really care that much. I think people who are artistically inclined might appreciate it more than just somebody who who has no idea like what it entails or anything. So for the lips, I'm going to use my Dragon lipstick from an M10 from Palace Identity that they sent me. And I just feel like this color is going to go with the look because it's kind of like taupey, I guess. I feel like I pretty much just sat here and talked after I finished my eye look, but it's okay. Something about the way the foundation is sitting like right here, it looks really thick. I'm gonna put on my bunny earrings that my mom gave me last year for Christmas. I'm gonna link the shop down in the description box because I don't remember. I think it's called Rabbit and Rain. So I'm gonna link it down below if you're interested. And I don't know if they're gonna have this exact style, and I just put like fingerprints all over it, so that's not cute. Let's see, I feel like I'm missing something. Oh yeah, let me just tight line and stuff and put on lashes. I'm just gonna tight line. I'm gonna try to talk while I do this. And the other thing I really wanted to talk about is I think a lot of people are like, you know, do I need to buy a camera? Do I need to do this and this? And I'm gonna say if you're just starting out, just use your phone. Like nowadays, phones are so nice. Just use your phone and record with that. So also you need to get an idea of what it's like to film content, edit content, upload content, and just how much time that takes. Because you might not end up wanting to do it and then you're gonna get stuck with a really expensive camera. And also I don't think you really need like the most expensive. I feel like you see all these setups of these creators who have like hundreds of thousands, some millions of subscribers, and like of course they're gonna have that much because they have a huge following. But I think if you're just starting out, it doesn't really matter. Yes, people do love quality, but I think that as long as it's in like the 1080p, like you're fine. As long as it's not like literally like a potato lens, then you're fine. Just gonna do a little inner corner highlight with an actual like just white matte shade. Well, there's a little bit of sparkle in it. It's one of those lovely sequin shades from Colourpop, but just a little kind of highlight just to see. The last thing I wanted to cover, I think I kind of touched upon it in the beginning of the video, and that is it hard being a creator and having a channel? I'm gonna say if you're working and this is just your side thing, side hobby, side whatever, then yes, for sure it's hard. If you're doing this full-time and you don't have any other job, it's probably gonna be less hard. But really, difficulty is very subjective because what someone might find not hard, I might find not hard. And so I think that's something to very much keep in mind, because there are, you know, people that will say like, no, it's not hard being a beauty creator, and they do it full time. And then, you know, someone else might be doing it full time and they might be like, yes, it is hard. So I think you really need to take it with a grain of salt, because it's gonna vary from person to person and everyone's feelings are valid. And I just hate when people are like, oh, you can't complain, like you play with makeup, like it's so fun. When people say that what they're doing and they're complaining specifically about what they're doing, if it is being a creator, no one's saying that this is hard compared to being a doctor, compared to etc, etc. Like, of course there's a much harder jobs out there in terms of just what kind of job it is and what it entails, but I just don't think it's fair for anyone to be telling people like, no, you don't get to complain because I think your job is easy. Like, yes, it's nice to play with makeup, but like, or not, I hate to say play, but like, you know, it is fun, but that doesn't mean you can't have it as a job. Like, the point is you want to enjoy what you're doing. And I just feel like sometimes people get really, you know, are jealous about people. Like, to them, this might seem like fun and it's easy, but they've never actually had to do it themselves. And I also just don't think it's fair in general, no matter what kind of job you have. So like, I'm a graphic designer and I complain about my job. But when I complain about it, I don't complain about it as being a graphic designer is so much harder than being a contractor and like building houses. Like, no. But I think everybody has a right to complain. And not just complain, but just be frustrated or just find something hard. And just because other people don't think it is doesn't mean that they have the right to kind of to invalidate the person's experience, I think is what I'm trying to say. I put on the No Filter Kiss Lashes. I just love these. They're so nice and easy to put on. They're nice and subtle. I feel like I have like fallout from the mascara or something. Hopefully you can see my face. I'm gonna put just a little bit under my lower lash line. So that is like really one of the main things I wanted to cover, is just like, is it hard? Depends. And also, everyone has a different experience, and there is no right or wrong answer if it is hard. Because also, there is a lot of different things that you have to do. You're your own production manager. You know, you do your own lighting, you do your editing, you do your own, you do everything basically until you're big enough that you can afford to pay someone to do that, which, as far as I know, is only creators who are, you know, like in the millions, and this is their full-time job, and they do other things other than that. I think the other thing I wanted to say is, as a creator, something else that I've seen is people start feeling, like subscribers start feeling like you owe them content, and if you don't put out as much content, that you've forgotten about the subscribers and you've forgotten about their support and etc. This is mostly for like larger creators. It hasn't happened to me, obviously. And I just feel like that's not fair, because nobody owes you content. At the end of the day, this is like free videos you get to watch. They're free to you. And by watching, yes, you're contributing literally pennies that add up. And obviously, the longer you watch, the better you support the creator. At the end of the day, it's free content, and, you know, a lot of effort and time goes into them. And views, watch time, and AdSense fluctuate so much from video to video, from month to month, that it's not even like a guaranteed compensation. It's not like we're doing, you know, like advertisements on TV that you see. Those are paid. Probably hundreds of thousands of dollars for most of them, the ones you see from the really big brands, which is why you only see really big brands. Those are like paid for those 15 seconds. And while on YouTube, you kind of just put out your content and hope for the best. And I'm not saying this in any way, shape, or form to complain about not making money or whatever off of this. I'm just saying, like, putting it into perspective on multiple different levels. But I think that's the end of my tangent. I'm very, very excited because I am so close to 10K. So thank you so much to everyone who has been watching me, who has been commenting, engaging, or if you're just watching, I thank you so much for your time, because time is really precious. And I'm so happy that you choose it to spend it with me in my videos. And so this is the finished look. The mattes are okay in the Colourpop palette. This shimmer is beautiful, like beautiful. However, I wore it to work once and it completely disintegrated in my crease, like completely, like it wasn't even shiny anymore. So I don't know about the wear time. If you have hooded oily lids, I probably wouldn't buy another one as much as I really want to, because it is beautiful. As for the foundation, I still have to keep trying it out. I'm not in love with it. I think I want to try different primers underneath it. What else did I try? The contour, I've already used a bunch of times. The shade is just a tad bit maybe too cool toned. Obviously, it's a contour, so it should be cool tone, but I just think it's a little bit too gray, so I have to go in with a very light hand, and it is quite pigmented. It is so blendable, though, honestly, and the blush, too, so easily blendable. Like, probably one of the most beginner-friendly formulas I've ever tried. If you're interested in trying out some cream products, and you're just, you know, not sure how to use them. Or as for the highlight, I absolutely love this highlight. I think it looks very natural, very just dewy. You could probably build it up a little bit more. It does set, so it did set on my cheek, so it's not sticky or anything. And my face, I didn't set it, and the contour doesn't really feel like it's tacky. What else did I try? I think that's kind of the new stuff I tried, right? The lipstick is really nice, which I tried in a previous dedicated video to that stuff. Oh, and the Blend Bunny brushes, how could I forget? These are so soft and so small, and I'm really excited to use them further and actually use them like the way that Maggie intended them to be used, because I'm really curious. So anyway, stay tuned for a video for that. Let me know in the comments below if you have any other questions, and thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and if you did not enjoy it, then give it a thumbs down. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you subscribe. There's so much makeup content on my channel, so many tutorials and multi-chromes and indie makeup. You don't want to miss out, so thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.